Hey y'all, it's Shayna. What's up? I haven't made a video in a solid minute, so here I am. Let's go. School started again, and I just could not do it, so now I'm not in school, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with my life. And so I need to figure that out. I signed up for 3 classes, and given how shitty last semester went, I'm thinking, okay, I'll just try out these 3 classes, see which one I like the most, and then drop 1 or 2 and stick with that. And so I ended up dropping 2, but then I just wasn't doing anything for the one. I wasn't doing my readings or anything like that. And I just had a lot on my mind given some stuff that had happened recently, just interpersonal things, and I guess also like trauma stuff has been coming up lately. But yeah, there were just a lot of things that were on my mind and that I was, that were splitting my attention, so to speak. I was really ashamed, about dropping the class, but, I was thinking, well, this is probably for the best because, if I push myself too hard now, then I'm gonna get burned out eventually. It's just a matter of when. So, the sooner that I nip that sort of burnout in the bud, then the more likely it'll be that I'll be able to handle the succeeding semesters. So, I know I said that last semester, but I got burned out last semester, so yeah, I need to take steps, basically. My therapist and I were talking about it, and she was saying that, I'm just really not in a place where I can handle being evaluated right now, in terms of grades and pressure and my future and stuff like that. And just this idea that, like, I really need to explore the things that I like to do, that I have trouble doing otherwise when I'm in school. Now, that's not to say that I don't have trouble doing them when I'm out of school. I do, but it's a good way to address the fear of failure without like these looming deadlines and these risks and things like that. So a lot of the things that I like to do that I have trouble committing to is anything from writing and drawing and music and things like that to kind of more casual things like games. I have a big fear of fucking up very royally with those things and not being good at those things, which is weird because not all of those things are really what I care enough to be good at. Like, I'm not trying to become this MLG gamer, like I'm just trying to have fun, but for some reason, like, this idea that I suck at the game or that I have a hard time maybe advancing, there's just this huge fear of failure, and it keeps me from doing things. Even if I really enjoy something, for some reason I don't necessarily do it often. Like, at all sometimes. That's not the case for everything. There are a lot of things that I want to do when I have a free moment, but there's just this issue of I'm gonna suck at it, it's gonna just be more frustrating than fruitful, and I don't want to have to deal with it, which I know is not how you get good at the things, obviously. You need that suckiness in order to progress, but knowing that intellectually, cerebrally, doesn't really, at least right now, it's not translating to me knowing that emotionally. So my therapist and I are working on sort of me doing small things that some things that I need to do and some things that I want to do. Like, I've been writing poetry more, or rather I've been editing poetry that I've written in the past, which is cool because I've been wanting to edit those poems for years, but I never really got around to it. I'm really happy about it, and my therapist, I told her about it, and she could just tell, how I mean, I don't want to say passion, I feel like that's kind of extreme, but how motivated I was and how much I enjoyed it. So, yeah. So, in terms of general treatment things that I have issues with, that I've struggled with in the past, and things that I still struggle with when we're talking about recovery, so like the self-harm, the BPD and interpersonal issues related to that, the suicidal ideation, and the eating disorder. Most of those things have been surprisingly under control. Like, it's actually sort of crazy. I've definitely had some interpersonal issues, but I've been calm about them and able to sort of resolve them easily. They've been going well, so, and the conflicts have been minimal and easy. It's been easier to put out the fires, so to speak. So, that's been cool. The self-harm, there were a lot of urges over the holidays. I think the holidays are just normally hard for everyone, but yeah, I mean, that's how the difficulties with the holidays manifested in me. That was cool because I had a lot of urges, but I didn't act on any of them. And they were horrible, bad, strong urges. So I'm really impressed that I got through that, and, you know, the self-degrading part of me just says, well, that's just a fucking fluke, you know, you didn't do anything, but I did. I really tried, and it took a lot of work. And so, yeah, I can acknowledge that I'm growing in that way. The suicidal ideation is kind of omnipresent no matter how I'm feeling. Even if I'm feeling pretty happy, it's still an issue, but it's been more on the back burner than normal, I'd say. So that's pretty cool. I think about suicide all the time just because it's also a topic that interests me philosophically. But in terms of applying it to me, I've been doing that less and less. Or the thoughts are more infrequent. So that's really interesting too. And then with the eating disorder, I'd say that that's the one thing that I still struggle with. I think I've been having more good weeks, and my therapist actually brought this up because, like, I do these things, these mood diaries basically, where, you know, I mark down the emotions I'm having and how strong they are, the urges, the behaviors, you know, whether I took my meds or used certain coping skills or whatever. And she brought up that just based on the trends she's been noticing, that I'm getting a lot better, and that the difficult times that are affecting like the self-harm urges and behaviors and eating disorder behaviors specifically, they've been less frequent. Which is cool because, I mean, like, think about this. The whole reason that I fucking started this YouTube channel is because I feel like I never make progress, because I feel like I'm just a dud, or that I'm static. And so it was really cool to be reaffirmed by my therapist, like, oh, I'm getting a good grade in therapy. No. But yeah, it was cool. And I'm feeling good about that. Well, not right this second, because I actually had a huge lapse in the ED. I think it sort of started because, embarrassing as it is, I've been having a lot of trouble brushing my teeth lately. It's just effortful and uncomfortable, and, you know, when you're already feeling like shit, it's kind of nice to not, you know, make yourself more uncomfortable and deal with more shit that makes you feel annoyed. I think that not having brushed my teeth is sort of the reason that the ED flared up, or at least the prompting event, because I was like, okay, I'm not gonna eat until I brush my teeth and sort of wait a while, but then I couldn't get myself up to do it, and so that turned into not eating basically all day because I just could not. And I had those days before. Like, that's not necessarily an uncommon experience, but for whatever reason, it just got a lot worse. And so that really sucks. The eating in general has been a struggle for a while, but there are definitely times where I'm able to follow the majority of my meal plan, even if not entirely, and yeah, that's starting to fall off a bit. I don't know. I'm gonna try to eat better today, and by eat better I mean more, because I need to. I feel like absolute shit right now, and I'm actually kind of making new friends lately, so they're wanting to hang out, and I'm nervous about, you know, me being a total buzzkill or just me making shitty first impressions by hanging out with them while I'm going through this. Something else that's been difficult for me, which I sort of didn't anticipate, sort of half anticipated, half didn't. Being single is weird, man. You know, because I was with one of my exes, the second most recent one, the penultimate one, for 2 years, and that ended. And soon after, I got into a relationship that lasted 4 months. It's been weird because there are certain needs / wants that I'm used to having fulfilled, and now they're not. And it's hard too because I have really good friends and they love me, you know, like it's not, they aren't bullshit relationships. They are really deep. But it's hard because a lot of those friends are seeking out, you know, romantic relationships. And it just makes me paranoid because I've had a lot of friends in the past, and arguably like the majority of them who got into relationships, romantic ones, they sort of fell off as friends. And I can sort of understand prioritizing a romantic partner, but just sort of starting to pretend that I don't exist, that really hurts. And they don't even really acknowledge that I'm doing it, or that they're doing it, and they think that they're justified if they do acknowledge it, and it's just terrible, because it's very invalidating to how I feel. And so it hurts, and it makes me feel like I'm not enough for them, and I feel like no matter how hard I try, I'll never be enough. Some of them have acknowledged that yeah, if they got into a relationship, they would ultimately probably see me less, or the dynamic would change. And I guess I have like that anticipatory grief, you could call it. And on top of all that, I've developed feelings for someone, and it's been rough because the feelings have been growing, and the person lives in another state, so it's long distance. And we've met at one point, but obviously, like, it's still hard to have the majority of your interactions being online. And it's weird too, because he just got out of a really long relationship similar to me, but, you know, actually even longer. And so similar to me, he's really burned out and doesn't want to date anyone. And for me, like, it's the same way, you know? I'm thinking about what it would be like to date someone right now, and I'm just not for it, you know? I'm not in the mood for it, because, like, when I'm with someone, I don't want to say I have to worry about them looking through my phone, but, like, I have to feel guilty or, sort of taper back my interactions with friends. I mean, this is just based on stuff I've experienced in the past. But, you know, sort of get worried about, oh no, is the way I'm interacting with this person, you know, like, too flirty or too friendly, or am I spending too much time with them and neglecting my partner? I brought that up with my therapist, and she said, well, that's not a healthy dynamic to begin with. Like, it doesn't have to be that way, is basically what she said. And that's not really something, at least to me, it feels so impossible. So I'm really discouraged, because I'm like, I don't want to date someone. Like, there are so many obstacles for me right now, you know, and I'm burned out too. You know, I don't think I'd be able to. I think I'm definitely more mentally stable than during my last relationship, but you know, when you're in that place with dating someone and it's as charged as it is, it can be difficult to maintain that stability. And I've been doing so well in my recovery to the point where, you know, I worry about sabotaging it by jumping into something so soon. None of that sounds appealing, and it's enough to drive me away. So I'm thinking, so what is pulling me towards it, and what's pulling me towards the person? I think, though, one of the things, and I've mentioned this in previous videos, or at least one previous video, is that I really want to be loved. And sometimes I feel like the only way I can be loved truly is by being in a romantic relationship, because, like I mentioned before, my friends are looking for someone more, you could say. Someone who can offer things that I can't. So in that sense, I guess, you know, I have that fear of losing people, that fear of abandonment. And so I'm thinking, okay, the only way that I can have a stable relationship in which I'm truly valuable to the other person, and a relationship that has more permanence, so to speak, is by getting into a romantic relationship. And in addition to wanting to be loved, honestly, I really want to love someone, you know, and not even necessarily romantically. It's weird because I can be pretty empathetic, but when I'm empathetic towards people, I go pretty hard on that. You know, especially since a lot of the people I associate with, you know, they're like a little on the weird side. They have quirks about them. I like people who are sort of outside of, I guess, what you could call the norm. But as a result, like, sometimes they have a lot of issues and a lot of struggles. Like, they were not loved in their life, whether it was by family, by friends, you know, by peers. So I just really want them to feel loved, and I want to show them that that they're not a lost cause. I don't really believe anyone's a lost cause, honestly, even the people who really seem like it. And I just want to encourage them and inspire them to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. That's not inherently a bad thing, but it's also really exhausting. And sometimes it can hinder me taking care of myself because I'm so invested in the other person. I mean, if I don't take care of myself first, then I can't even help the people to begin with. That in itself should be motivation, but I just want to love people. I think at the end of the day, that's maybe what I want in a relationship, or that's why I feel like, or why I'm craving to be in a romantic relationship again. Because I guess I feel like that's the only way that I can truly show love and truly be loved, which isn't true, I mean. But again, like, even when I accept things cerebrally, it can be really hard for me to accept them emotionally and to base my actions off of that. So I've been really falling hard for this person because the combination of, you know, the needs I want to get met and just who the person is, because he's a really interesting and enjoyable person to be around. That combination really is, I'm very preoccupied with it, and I'm just thinking about it all the time. And it sucks because I know it's not reciprocal, at least not to the same extent. So I feel powerless and stupid, and I feel like I don't have a handle on myself and that I'm losing my identity. And I've always had a weak sense of self, so I guess this isn't novel. That's actually a common symptom of BPD, but it really sucks, and I don't know what to do about it, but I'm hoping I'll figure it out because I'm anticipating a really bad heartbreak, whatever the fuck that looks like. It's like I already went through 2 of those very recently. Another fucking one? No. I don't want to deal with that. So those are basically all the updates I have, I think. it's a pretty good synopsis of what's been going on. I'll make another update video when I can and when I have more shit to talk about. So, yes, goodbye for now.